Well, it's wired up and set for testing. How did it go? Come back after the titles and find out. Hey everybody, Anthony Dodge, Train Outsider, the American Outsider here with a video for the Fowler failures, and it's living up to its name. I'll show the videos of the various steps between the last video and this one, but I did not have complete success. There's some issues that you will kind of see in the last video because I'm streaming like 5 or 6 videos at different stages showing you how I wired it up, how it goes together, and so forth. I'll add pictures in as I can. But I got it all wired in Monday and then Wednesday. And Wednesday night I did a test run, which you'll see on here. And then I monkeyed with a couple of things and then did a second test run actually this morning, which is Thursday, February 7th or 8th. Today's the 8th, February 8th. And Artie is coming in sometime tomorrow, so this is going to be the last I work on it until sometime next week. I'm not giving up. There were some positive signs. I actually, on video, got the bus going through one turnout and stopping at the bus stop. But some of the problems you will see, but I guess I'll share them with you now, is that when I did the Fowler track, that 3 millimeters raised up helped me avoid a problem I now have, which is when the bus gets the stop motor, it's crashing into the abutment of the bus station, so it can't quite hit the angle to shut off. When it was 3 millimeter track, the tires of the bus on the track raised it over that lip so it could actually come in like it really does. So obviously an option would be, well, can I just raise the level going into the bus stop? Can I just create a slow incline? And short answer, yes. Long answer, it would be a lot of work. But the stop motors are clearly working in all kinds of testing I've done where I move the station around. So you won't see them working in the video I show, but they actually are working. The stop motors are working. The turnouts into the stop motor at the station are working, but the turnouts outside, that are supposed to divert the bus into the turnout aren't working. So, and there's a couple of things I can try to adjust on that. There might be a placement with the issues, and I'll check my measurements and maybe even move the read sensor in a direction. But I'll talk about those adjustments in the next video as I make them. But there are encouraging things. Things are working. Today's test, the car, it would not turn into the bus depot, but once I set it on the bus depot, the bus did in fact go to the turnout motor, get bumped over, and go to the stop and stop. That occurred 3 times, but I think I only got it once on video because running this and trying to film this, the videography sucks. Again, I'm doing this on my own and I'm trying to run the things, and I'm also, as I'm filming, I'm focusing on the area where I'm having problems. The other problem is because the road is not completely installed, the little paper road, I'm using this tape. And I don't want to use a strong sticking tape because I don't want it potentially peeling up the magnetic tape embedded, and I don't want it necessarily ripping the paint off. So I don't want to use a really strong tape. And I'm using this painter's tape from that I picked up at a Home Depot or a Lowe's, probably Lowe's because that's where I buy most of it. And it sits around because it's garbage. Whoever makes this tape wouldn't stick to a solidifying pile of hot glue. it won't stick to anything. I mean, it's supposed to be light adhesives for when you're painting, but there's light adhesive and there's not adhesive. So every now and then, in these tests, you'll see the car stops at the tape because the ski of the car the tape is rolling up and the ski is catching on it. It's so garbage. When you actually watch it, because one thing I did was put a piece of road tape in, which I did very badly, so I'm going to have to peel that off and put another piece in that looks nice and straight, which means I'm going to have to buy more. It runs nice. That's a positive, because I said if I don't get the motors running, this is just going to be static, where the buses and other cars will just circle around, and I just won't have buses going to the bus stop. I'll have static bus displays. So this is sort of a final. If I don't get it working, it is what it is. But at least I put the road tape over the magnetic tape from Wiesmann, and the bus can follow it and does a beautiful job. I just gotta put the road tape in better. So the positives are, there are signs I can get it to work. The negative is, as of this video, it's not working where I want it, and I've got some major problem solving to do, including how I'm going to figure out that car stopping at the bus. To be honest, a thought of using wedges, painters, carpenter wedges, for like when you're trying to level and set in a door or things like that, and try to build something or something else so that the bus actually, when it starts to pull in, is raised a bit. I can go that 3 millimeters. That magnetic pulse, that reverse polarity pulse it sends up to stop the motor, has a good range. Because you got to remember, it had a 3 millimeter. So if I maybe just put some kind of an incline going in and then coming back out, and yes, I would have to redo some of the magnetic tape there, but so what? Anyhow, so that's that. So let's look at the video of my process up to that point. Again, the videography is garbage. Number one, I'm not a professional videographer. I'm just doing what I do, and trying to do things one-handed. And y'all, or anybody who follows this channel knows I have shaky hands, and so somebody's talking to me this morning. So anyhow, let's go ahead and let you watch if you're sadistic and enjoy seeing me suffer, or if you're curious to see how badly I do things. There might be a freak value to this video. So let's have a look. Alright, so what I've done here is I have put some blue painter's masking tape down here, both to simulate the roadbed, but also to cover a couple of rough areas where the bus is running, and just because I had to rerouter some lines, there's some divots in that even though I filled them, it seems to struggle with. All this stuff that gets covered by the road tape. So this is actually a bit thinner than the road tape, so hopefully this bus and then the van will both handle it. But this is a live test, and if I can make sure it's on the course. There we go, going around the curve. Now again, it should not turn out here. I did have an issue where it's hitting a bump there and bumping over into the turnout, so I'm hoping with the tape it will smooth it out. But right now that's running well. We'll zoom in here and we'll see what happens coming around on this turn. And he jammed up on the tape. Alright, so the tape had rolled back up, so I started it over again and peeled off some of the tape. As somebody who does a lot of paint, this stuff is crap. I have a bunch of this around because I stopped using it. It's horrible for using as paint, but there it goes. It's perfect. And then coming down here, and there's a little rough patch in here that I would say you can see it bumped up there with the tape, although that's as much an air pocket. But it's riding it nicely and coming back around, even with the tape over it, follows it and goes along. So now, even with the shaky cam, let's see if the little dude will go. And
And you can see he gets stuck up there where I didn't put the tape because he's much smaller wheelbase. There's a couple of divots up there. So I will stop that. All right, so yeah, I bumped him along and just catch him. But overall, where the tape is, it's having no problems. It was only in some of the non-taped areas where there's just clearly a little bit of a bump where he jams up on it, because much smaller wheelbase, much lower to the ground, much easier to jam up. They would even have some problems on the follower track. So now I'm going to try the inside loop with the bus. So right here is the turnout. So what I'm going to do is just put it on that lane. And again, you have to catch the magnet tape. So there he goes. And you can see there are bumps and divots. But definitely goes over. He's following the tape. So I didn't even protect that. He's following the magnetic tape, not the blue tape. Out and then pulling back into traffic. And then when I have the turnout motor, he would then pull the other way. So I'm going to pause and send him the other way. So normally they would come here, there'd be a pulse, and it goes the other way. So let's see, he goes over the cross. And right there, you can see where it got bumped off a bit, and it just does not follow the straight. Now that time fixed it. And he's running straight. And then he should come back out here and circle around. And now he gets back onto the road, and then he'll just take the circle around. So in terms of bus ride, yes, we've got one bad bump, but again, the road tape should handle that. In fact, I will put a piece of tape over that and see if that solves it and try it again. All right, so I put a piece of tape over this, and what the situation is, and you can still kind of see it here, there's just a bit of a rise. I guess I'd have to get my finger out of the way. I don't know how well you see it because I've actually worked on pushing it down. But this is bumped up a bit. It's just how it fits into the hole. And so the idea with the tape here is if it can handle this thin tape, it will handle the road tape even better. So I'm going to start this guy and see if, whoops, got to get him on the magnet tape and see if this time he rolls right over it or if he bumps and goes crazy again. Nope, straight over it. So that tells me the road tape will smooth out any of these issues. And then back into traffic. So the buses would actually run a figure eight because I do want to get a second bus. And they run a loop. And then when the motors are turned on, they would turn in, come through here, follow back out, go around, go in, come out the other way, loop, and they would just take circuitous loops. I mean, it's going to be boring, but it'd be kind of cool. And again, that tape is rolling up and the ski is getting caught under it. This is why I don't use this tape when I paint anymore. Alright, so what I am doing is I am wiring up the motors. I am putting in the reed sensors. These are 2 reed sensors, and they actually have a flat side to them that you have to put towards the oncoming traffic. But you have to feed these cords through small holes, and you have to keep these right about level. Now, I will put some putty in here, hence I got my black tack there, to hold those in place both below and above while I wire them in, and then do any final adjustments I might need, pull them up or push them down a little further. And so I've actually got this one wired up underneath, the motor's wired up underneath. That one is in place and the motor is wired up underneath. They are wired to the module. This is all wired to the module, but I still got to embed these. So they are wired, but they need embedded. And I'm just starting over here on the one up here. And then the side you can't really see very well here. I have to get these 2 reed sensors in, but the motors are in. So now I'm doing the reed sensors. And you have a tiny little hole. You have to force those wires through. And then I'll show you underneath. All right, so I've got them in. So let's look underneath. I don't know how easily this is going to be seen. I'm trying to get light in here. But there are the 2 wires, well, 4 wires coming down from those 2 reed sensors. There is the turnout motor embedded in some foam just to keep it in place. And then the stop motor's right there with the wires coming down. And you have to wire them all into a junction box. Now, I've got one, actually I've got two done, but I'll slide over here. And right now it's a mess, but you have the yellow and brown wires are coming from the two motors, and then the black wires are coming from the reed sensors, and they all plug into this module, and there's all kinds of wires in the way, so you're not really going to get a good view here. But they all plug in. These are all very small wires, and they all plug into that module there, and I still have to plug in a power supply, but I'm going to link these all together and then run them to one power supply. But this is wiring for lights. Everything else down here is wiring for lights from my station and the couple little boards here. You know, same idea as Arduinos. And this was all meant to be temporary wiring until I decided to streamline everything. Everything is just temporarily wired except for these, and then I will streamline all the wiring. But fortunately, I do have a little wiring diagram that I can put up next to where I'm wiring. Although I've done this so many times, I pretty much know, but it's nice to make sure. So I'm going to wire this one in now, and not on camera. Okay, this morass of spaghetti is 4 wires, 2 from each reed sensor coming through the table here and here. And then the wires coming from the turnout motor, and then over here is the stop motor, and I have kind of sealed them into place with some foam. Trust me, it's okay. I already tested their power and they seem to be good. And so basically you wire the positives of the two motors together and plug them in. And I'll put a diagram of this up so you can see it better. And then each of them gets a separate slot for their negative. And then the same thing with the reed sensors. You wire the positives together in their slot, and then each of the reed sensors gets a different slot. And I have a wiring diagram here that helps me go along the way. I have several done. I have one more to wire in. The problem is I'm out of these boxes. I'm out of these little modules. So I'm going to use that monstrosity. I can still use it as a simple one, but at least until I can get a new one of these, because they don't sell these separate anymore. They used to, but now they don't. You have to buy the whole kit, and I don't want to spend another $70 just to get a $15 module. So, back in a second. A bit of overkill, but I'm using this one just as a basic module. And so everything's wired up. Now I just got to find some wiring to run from the power sources. All right, before I show you the full mess, and just to let you know, what you're hearing in the background is TV, old TV playing an old 1970s celebrity bowling show. Celebrity bowling. Now, the morass that is the chaos that is the wiring here, this was all temporary wiring that I just never streamlined because I've been waiting to get everything else done. Now, all this wiring here, as I explained in one of the other shorts I've filmed, power to the sensors, power to the two motors. The yellow and brown wires are to the motors, the black wires. Now, the red and black wiring here is the power. So I have brought it from way down there. This one, there's another one under there. And then over here, if I can find it on camera. There it is. That's my screwdriver drop in. So I've now run power lines. This black and white wiring coming from 4 sources. I'm going to join them all here and connect them to this wire, which is to a voltage transformer that can go from 4 volts up to 20. It's a programmable one. And that will supply power to the whole thing. So it'll be one power source to all 4 of these. I debated about just snaking it from one to another, but either way, this actually is a little less wiring doing it this way. So we will now power it up and see how it goes. Got rudely interrupted there. But I have a power thing here, and then that's a little adapter. That's connected to a standard wall plug. And you can set the voltage. So as you see, it goes from 5 to 20. So that is the mess. And then those 2 little Arduino things are what ran the bus station signs, which I have to reinstall on the new computer. So this is an embarrassing mess of wiring here. It's sloppy, it's ugly, it's hideous, but nobody had seen it before this video. Not even Joyce had really been under here. She helped me from the top with the wiring, but she never looked underneath to see how ugly it is. My father would be very offended at this sloppy wiring, but it was meant to be temporary. Anyhow, that's enough babbling about that. There's only one more thing to do, and that's to power this up and see if anything works. Alright, so today is Thursday, February 8th, I think. And I wired this up last night and I powered it up and did a quick test. And I'm getting intermittent results. The stop motors are working, but there are some issues which I guess I will show in this video because my voice clearly is not elated, but I'm going to go ahead and start this. I put tape on the turnout motors and just to stop it from catching in some of the dead areas, but we're going to put this on. And technically, and that's a problem I'm having with this tape. This company that makes this tape ought to go out of business because this stuff, when it stick to a pile of hot glue, and so the so I'm adjusting the tape. I'm just trying to cover this because our little areas, there's little divots because of how things are sitting in the holes. And just trying to get this to go. But see, it should have turned, and it didn't. So the read sensor is not working. It's not telling the motor to turn on. And there, the read sensor did not work. It did not turn the motor on. So let's try the next step. Let's pretend it worked. And that tape is... Now see, that read sensor worked and the bus stopped. But it's getting jammed up on the... It's getting jammed up on the base of the... It's getting jammed up on the base of the bus station. So let's try this one. And that worked. And if I move this out of the way... So we're just having intermittent luck here. So I've got this. These two turnout motors are working, but now the stop motor worked. And then the bus starts. Now the stop motor is working at a very brief time period. Now again, the bus is jamming up because the tires are getting caught in these holes here. So maybe I put tape over there, but that's just sort of where we're at. So I'm going to end this video and do a part 2 in a week or so. Okay, so there you see the horrific job I've done and the first failed test. I call it failed, although there was some success in there. I'm not here quitting. I think I'm going to want to move a couple of reed sensors and see if those work better in a slightly different location. Because clearly the reed sensors are working around the bus. At the bus center itself and not off the main traffic. So if I can maybe move those or adjust those, maybe that will set it up, because in some ways maybe I should be more positive, like see the success, but I'm seeing the negatives right now. I'm seeing the, oh God, I got to fix that, and how do I adjust that issue with the bus crashing now in, because the stop motor, when I pull the bus station out, the bus actually goes in and stops at the stop motor. Yay! The problem is, to do that, I've got to move the bus station, which actually causes it to cover the other one on the other side. And if I'm going to have two buses coming and stopping, I can't do that. Another option I thought of here is maybe I just cut the angle of the bus station out a bit to give the bus more room to get in and do that. It would take away the authenticity of my build, but we adapt. So I'll have to think about that, but that will be next week. So this will be the last video for at least a week and a half or so. So until I see you all again somewhere, somehow, I want to say Auf Wiedersehen, choose happy trains. Take care, everybody.